I apologize to Lara, please. I left you and made a terrible mistake. Nolan. It is, in fact, Nolan. I left you and made a terrible mistake. I've discovered that I am sterile. It's all my fault that I am unable to become a parent. It was wrong of me to leave you. I want you back because I miss you so much. What are you talking about, Nolan? I never stopped loving you, even though I know I damaged you. Give me an opportunity to do things right, please. I'm at a loss for words, Nolan. My life has gone on for the better. I will never be able to let go of the hurt you gave me. I apologize. I know. I had to be honest with you. Elara, please give it some thought. To make it up to you, I'll stop at nothing. It will take me some time. Really, I'm at a loss for words. Nolan, I'm content now. I started dating someone fresh. What? Have you already moved on? How could you subject me to this? What are you trying to say? You ended our relationship. It was you who departed. Elara, you still have my love. You will never be happier than you will be if you leave your boyfriend and return to me. My name is Elara, and at the age of 37, I discovered the love of my life. But he wasn't my first love, either. I was married to Nolan, my first spouse, for a grueling 6 years. I was ecstatic when we were married. With Nolan, I believed I had finally found my happily ever after. Everything seemed fantastic at first, and our wedding was lovely. We were both really happy and in love. Together, we took trips, discovered new locations, and created priceless experiences. However, as time passed, things began to shift. We tried for a few years before realizing that I couldn't conceive. Nolan, my ex-husband, and I were both devastated by the news. It was heartbreaking to realize that our goal of creating a family together would never come true. Nolan first made an effort to be receptive to alternative solutions, such as surrogacy or adoption. But with time he started to evolve. He grew aloof and reclusive, spending an increasing amount of time with friends and decreasing amounts of time with me. He used to blame me for everything that went wrong in his life. He made me feel like I didn't deserve to be happy since I couldn't have children, and continually put me down. Nolan informed me he wanted a divorce one day when he sat me down. I was really taken aback and heartbroken. I was in disbelief that the man I had spent my whole life with and loved was abandoning me due to an uncontrollable circumstance. Our friends started picking sides as the weeks passed, and it seemed like everyone was rooting for Nolan. He was a really likable and gregarious person, and I started to feel alienated in my own life. My terrible divorce left me feeling lonely and isolated. I questioned whether I would ever find love again as I battled to find my place in the world. I felt in my heart that I deserved to be happy nevertheless, even with the suffering. I gave myself some time to think about what made me happy. I joined a yoga class, began a new job, and got in touch with some old acquaintances from my youth. I gradually began to regain my self-assurance and joyful aura. It seemed as though the cosmos intended to honor my advancement with something significant and enduring. I had a new acquaintance one day. Elias was his name, and he was a good-natured, understanding man. When we started dating, I thought I would finally be able to move over the hurt of my divorce and go on. Naturally, at first I was afraid and apprehensive. My last marriage had ended in divorce and heartache. After all, Elias, though, was unique. I felt like we clicked right away when we first met. He never passed judgment on me, listened to me, and acknowledged my worries and vulnerabilities. He was friendly and patient, and I felt secure being around him. I came to see Elias as the love of my life as our relationship became closer and closer. He encouraged me, pushed me, and made me laugh in ways I never would have imagined. We were talking about getting married before I realized it. I was thrilled, but I was also a little nervous. What if the past happened again? What if I was unable to provide Elias with his ideal family? Elias, nevertheless, reassured me that he loved me just as I was. We decided to go slowly as a result. Before adopting a kid, we moved in together and began making plans to get married when we were ready. Everything was flawless. Up until the day the phone rang and I was sitting by myself in the living room. The number that appeared on the screen shocked me. Though I had made an effort to erase him from my mind, fragments of him remained. It was Nolan's number. I knew that. It had been a couple years since we last spoke. Hello. I apologize to you, Lara, please. I left you and made a terrible mistake. I was taken aback to the point where I initially didn't know what he was saying. I could only whisper his name in my belly. Nolan. It is, in fact, Nolan. I left you and made a terrible mistake. I have discovered that I am sterile. It's all my fault that I am unable to become a parent. It was wrong of me to leave you. I want you back because I miss you so much. What are you talking about, Nolan? I never stopped loving you, even though I know I damaged you. Give me an opportunity to do things right, please. I'm at a loss for words, Nolan. My life has gone on for the better. I'll never be able to let go of the suffering you gave me. I apologize. I know. I had to be honest with you. Elara, please give it some thought. To make it up to you, I'll stop at nothing. It will take me some time. Really, I'm at a loss for words. Nolan, I'm content right now. I started dating someone fresh. What? You've already moved on. How could you subject me to this? What are you trying to say? You ended our relationship. It was you who departed. Oh, Elara, pay attention. You are still loved by me. You will be happiest you've ever been if you leave your boyfriend and return to me. Nolan, please. I expressed what I needed to. Kindly continue living your life. I have to end the call immediately. Apologies. I was feeling rather conflicted during that talk. I thought I was on an emotional roller coaster since there were so many different emotions there. I had a part of me that still cared for Nolan and thought we could work things out. But I knew I couldn't go back to him when I considered all the times he had made me feel inadequate as a woman and made me feel denigrated. Throughout it all, Elias was there to encourage and motivate me to do what was best for me. I made up my mind to stick with Elias, and I told Nolan exactly what I had decided. I believed that I conducted the talk as effectively as I could have given my emotional state. When I decided to go on with my life, Nolan reacted with sadness. I had made up my mind, but it felt like he had always thought that we might make amends and start again. I was unable to return to a life in which I felt as like I had to tread carefully all the time in an effort to win over someone who didn't respect me for who I was. Even though I was determined not to hurt Nolan, there were moments when I regretted what I had done. He made many attempts to get in touch with me, but I thought it would be best for us both if we kept our distance. Even though it hurt to see him struggle with a split, I had to prioritize taking care of myself. I tried not to run into him, but every now and then we happened to cross paths in town. I hadn't seen him previously because he had moved to a distant place following our divorce. But now that I was seeing him so frequently, I thought maybe he had moved back. I could see the anguish and destruction in his eyes every time. However, it was already too late. I had moved on and was happy in a different relationship. I was alone at home one day when I heard the doorbell ring. I felt attentive right away for some reason, like my intuition was trying to tell me something. I went ahead and opened the door in spite of those sentiments, and to my utter amazement, he was standing there. Nolan was the one. Upon observing Nolan up close for the first time in a long time, I couldn't help but be struck by how dramatically he had changed. He had gained a few pounds and his previously black, thick hair was now graying at the temples. It was astounding to me how much a person could change in a short period of time. Although I appeared more vibrant than ever, it appeared that our divorce had not been well received by him. He began to talk, and his voice sounded older and richer, as though he had been smoking. Though I had some pity for him, I had to maintain my composure. Hello, Elara. How are you doing? All right, good. How were you aware of my address? Remember that we have a lot of friends in common. I no longer communicate with any of them. Well, that's unfortunate. They still give you thought. To be honest, I don't think so. Nolan, please hear why you're here. You are aware that I share a home with someone. I'm aware. I'm only here to make amends. Being friends with you would be good. Sorry, but I'm unable to complete that. Come on, Elara, are you not ready to move on from the past? Nolan, please go on. I'm ecstatic right now. Farewell. He stretched out and stopped the door just as I was about to close it in front of him. My heart began racing as a result of my surprise. I knew the man I knew when I saw Nolan's face again, that conceited, irrational expression that would always stick in my memory. I sensed that I was in peril. I want to show you something. Please allow me inside. Nolan, no. You're not allowed to enter my home. I'm making a police call. All well, then. I'll just show you here if you want to play hard to get. Nolan took out a number of pictures from his pocket. As I went through each one, my heart fell. There were several photos of us together in bed from our marriage. I was still in disbelief when Nolan continued. You know, I could give them to other people, like your new sweetheart. You can, however, find a means to make it up to me. You could just give me the money that's in the home. Right now, I need some assistance, but as soon as you provide it to me, I'll leave you alone. I was still trembling violently, staring at the images in my hands. It was unbelievable to me that after all these years, he had retained them and was now using them against me. I was sick to my stomach because he threatened to email them to everyone I knew, including Elias. I couldn't fathom the humiliation and guilt that would accompany disclosing those private moments to the public. And if that wasn't terrible enough, Nolan demanded half the price of our previous home. It was an obvious attempt to use the circumstances and me. I was aware that I couldn't accede to his demands, but I also couldn't take the chance of those photos getting out. I had the impression that there was no way out, but I was aware that my own needs had to come first. Nolan, I'm not doing that. I had that house before we were ever dating, so it was legally mine. Take caution when making your choice, Elara. Do you really want these photos to be seen by everyone? I'm unable to offer you the cash. That is all. And until you do, I won't leave you alone. I was shocked when Nolan turned around and walked away after that. The thought of the guy I once loved, who abandoned me just when I needed him most, appearing in front of my door to demand money was too much for me to process. Nolan was not just an awful spouse, but also an awful person. It was definitely time for me to accept him for who he truly was. Following my interaction with Nolan, I felt really exposed and disturbed. I couldn't get rid of the deep sense of dread I was experiencing as a result of the idea of those photos being made public. The adoption facility where Elias and I were being considered for adoption called the next day, just when I thought things couldn't get much worse. They told me that I had been the target of a complaint alleging that I was abusive. They were forced to halt my profile as a consequence, and I was prohibited from accepting any more adoption interviews until the inquiry was over. When I received the news, my heart fell. Despite all the hurt Nolan had caused me in the past, I had committed my life to becoming the best loving person I could be. Being accused of maltreatment was therefore incomprehensible. I was aware that Nolan was responsible for this and that he had managed to further complicate my already challenging life. Elias gave me hope when I believed there was no hope left. He was enraged to find out what had transpired. Being a skilled attorney, he was determined to support me in my lawsuit against Nolan. Nolan just put all of the pictures he had of me in the garbage, and I didn't even notice. Even though it was rather difficult for me to tell him anything, he supported me the entire time. I was able to withstand what was ahead because of him. Nolan began messaging me a few days later, pleading with me to fulfill his demands. He even went so far as to call me names and denigrate me, threatening to put the photographs online if I said no once more. I briefly sensed myself giving in. It was too much to bear to worry about those photos being revealed. But then, with Elias at my side, I maintained my composure and gave the situation careful attention. I understood that Nolan was only pleading with me to return because he was destitute and in need of someone to provide for him financially. He was just interested in what he could get out of me, not about me or our history together. I inhaled deeply and summoned the last of my remaining bravery. I texted Nolan back, informing him that I would not be providing anything to him and that I would report him to the police if he kept harassing me. I also highlighted how much he would have to pay in a lawsuit if he uploaded the photos online. He would lose the lawsuit and they would have hard evidence that supported my assertions. As I anticipated, he withdrew for a few days. I then made the decision to sue Nolan for blackmail and harassment with Elias's assistance. I had saved every text message Nolan had sent me during our marriage, demonstrating just how violent he could be with words. Even though it was difficult to look through them and remember the misery I had gone through, I knew they would be important in the case against him. After Elias assisted me in finding a fantastic marital attorney, we sued Nolan to get justice for all the wrongs he had done to me. Although the lawsuit took a long time and was difficult, justice was eventually done. Nolan was obliged to pay a sizable amount of money or risk going to jail, since the odds were stacked against him. Before long, the photos he had of me were seized, and I was never forced to see them again. In front of our whole family and circle of friends, Nolan revealed his true nature. Many of our former acquaintances apologized to me for previously siding with Nolan. Even while it was pleasant to be back in touch with some of them, I maintained my distance. My desire was to dedicate more time and effort to my small family. After my identity was cleared, Elias and I adopted a cute little kid. Our dreams included a stunning wedding and a contented, peaceful afterlife. With a man who is practically too good to be true, it has been the life I have always imagined. I'm happy with my life as it is right now, and I'm looking forward to everything great that lies ahead for us.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah. Where do I even begin? I guess it all started during my senior year of high school. I was always the straightest student, honor roll, the whole package. But more than the grades, I had dreams. Big ones. My dad and I used to talk about them for hours. Sarah, he'd say with that familiar twinkle in his eye, "You're going to change the world one day. I just know it." I miss him. Every day, he was my rock, my biggest cheerleader. We'd sit on the porch swing after dinner, and he'd listen, really listen. When I talked about becoming a marine biologist, he even bought me my first microscope the day after I told him. But then, he got sick. It all happened so fast. One minute he was there, strong, vibrant, and the next, he was gone. Just like that. My world shattered. Mom took it hard, as you'd imagine. It felt like we were living with a ghost. The house, once full of warmth, became cold and empty. I tried to hold things together, but I was drowning too. That's when Richard came into the picture. Mom met him at a support group for widows and widowers. At first, I was happy for her. She was smiling again, laughing even. But then things started to change. 6 months into their relationship, Richard moved in. From day one, he tried to take over as the man of the house, as if he could erase every trace of my dad. "Your father's not here anymore," he'd say when I mentioned a memory or tradition. "Things are different now. You need to accept that." But I couldn't. I wouldn't. Dad may have been gone, but he was still a part of me. Richard just didn't get that. Over time, Richard's behavior became more controlling. He criticized everything, my clothes, my friends, even my love for science. "Why waste time with those books? You should learn something useful, like cooking or cleaning," he'd snap. It was suffocating. I felt like I was walking on eggshells in my own home. Mom noticed, but she never said anything. Maybe she was afraid of being alone again. I don't know. But I threw myself into my studies. It was the one thing Richard couldn't take from me. I joined every academic club, stayed late at school, anything to avoid going home. By senior year, I had a 4.0 GPA and was captain of the debate team. My guidance counselor, Miss Thompson, was thrilled. "Sarah," she said, "with your grades and extracurriculars, you can get into any college you want." I had been dreaming about that moment for years. With her help, I applied to 5 top marine biology programs across the country. Then the acceptance letters started pouring in. I couldn't believe it, full rides to 3 schools. For the first time since Dad died, I felt like things were finally looking up. I couldn't wait to tell Mom. I rushed home, letters in hand, bursting through the door. "Mom, you won't believe it. I got in everywhere." But it wasn't Mom who came into the hallway. It was Richard. "What's all this noise?" he demanded, snatching the letters from me before I could stop him. I watched in horror as his face twisted in anger. College? You think you're going to college? He sneered. You're not smart enough for that. Then, before I could react, he tore the letters into pieces. As they fell to the floor, so did my heart. There, he said coldly, now you can focus on more important things, like helping your mother around the house. He walked away, leaving me standing in the ruins of my future. But something in me snapped. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next day, I cornered my best friend, Mia. I need your help, I whispered. I'm reapplying to colleges, but Richard can't know. Without hesitation, she agreed. We came up with a plan. Mia would let me use her address for all college correspondence. After school, we'd go to the library to work on applications. To Richard, I was just studying with a friend. As time passed, Richard's suspicions grew. You're spending a lot of time at the library, he said one evening, narrowing his eyes. I shrugged it off. Senior year. Lots of homework, I lied. He wasn't convinced, but he let it slide. To fund my secret plan, I picked up a part-time job at a local cafe. It was exhausting, balancing work and school, but it was worth it. Why do you need a job? Richard asked. We provide everything you need. I want to save for a car, I lied smoothly. That seemed to satisfy him, as if I was planning to stick around after graduation. Miss Thompson became my strongest ally, staying late to help with my applications and writing glowing recommendations. You're one of the brightest students I've ever had, she said. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Then the acceptance letters started arriving at Mia's house. Full rides to 3 top marine biology programs. But I had to keep it hidden, for now. One evening, I overheard Richard talking to Mom in the kitchen. I pressed myself against the wall, straining to listen. Sarah's college fund, Richard was saying. We should use it for my new business venture. It's not like she'll need it anyway. My blood ran cold. They were planning to take my future away, again. But this time, I was ready. This time, I had a plan. With graduation approaching, Mia, Ms. Thompson, and I kicked our plans into high gear. I decided on Coastal University, renowned for its marine biology program. I've arranged for your scholarship and financial aid packages, Ms. Thompson explained. You'll have everything you need. But as the day got closer, doubt crept in. Could I really leave Mom behind with Richard? She's an adult, Sarah, Mia reminded me gently. You can't put your life on hold forever. I knew she was right, but it didn't make it any easier. The night before I was set to leave, disaster struck. Richard barged into my room, waving a letter he'd intercepted from Coastal University. What is this? He roared. You think you can go behind my back? I stood my ground, heart pounding. Yes, I can. And I did. I'm going to college, Richard. You can't stop me. His face turned a deep shade of purple. Like hell I can't, you ungrateful little. That's enough. A voice interrupted. We both turned to see Mom standing in the doorway, her face pale but determined. Sarah, she said softly, is this true? You got into college. I nodded, tears welling up. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I was afraid. Don't you dare apologize. Mom cut me off, turning to Richard. I've stood by and watched you bully my daughter for too long. No more. Sarah is going to college and that's final. Richard sputtered, but Mom raised her hand. And if you have a problem with that, you can pack your bags and leave. In that moment, I saw my mom as I remembered her before Dad died. Strong, fierce, and protective. The next morning, Mom helped me load my bags into the car. Richard was nowhere to be seen. I'm so proud of you, Mom said, hugging me tight. And I'm so sorry I didn't stand up for you sooner. But that's going to change. I promise. As I drove away, watching Mom wave in the rearview mirror, I felt a bittersweet mix of sadness and hope. This wasn't an ending, it was a new beginning. 4 years passed in a blur of classes, research, and new experiences. Before I knew it, I was standing on stage, delivering the valedictorian speech at my college graduation. And so, as we step into the future, I concluded, let's remember that our greatest strength lies not just in what we know, but in our ability to persevere in the face of adversity. Applause filled the auditorium, and I caught sight of Mom in the audience, beaming with pride. She had kept her promise, divorcing Richard and rebuilding her life. Over the past 4 years, we had grown closer than ever. After the ceremony, I was approached by Dr. Olson, a renowned marine biologist. "Impressive speech, Sarah," she said. "How would you like to join our research team at the Pacific Marine Research Center?" I could hardly believe it. It was my dream job. "I'd be honored," I managed, trying to contain my excitement. That night, as Mom and I celebrated over dinner, she filled me in on the latest news from home. "Richard's business venture failed spectacularly," she told me. "Last I heard, he was facing fraud charges." I felt a twinge of satisfaction, quickly followed by guilt. "I shouldn't be happy about that," I mumbled. Mom reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "You're allowed to feel however you feel, sweetie. What matters is how you act on those feelings." A few weeks later, as I was settling into my new job and apartment, I received an unexpected call. It was Richard. "Sarah," he said, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant. I owe you an apology. I was wrong about you. About everything." I remained silent, unsure how to respond. "I've made some mistakes," he continued. "Big ones. I was hoping maybe you could help me get back on my feet, for old time's sake." For a moment, I was tempted. Isn't that what good people do? Forgive and help those who've wronged them. But then I remembered all the nights I cried myself to sleep, all the times he'd made me feel worthless. "I'm sorry, Richard," I said firmly, "but I can't help you. I wish you the best, but our relationship is over. Please don't contact me again." I hung up, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. It wasn't about revenge or holding a grudge. It was about protecting my peace and the life I had worked so hard to build. 6 months later, I stood on the deck of a research vessel watching the sun rise over the Pacific. Mia and Miss Thompson had flown out to visit, and Mom was due to arrive next week. As I looked out at the endless horizon, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. It hadn't been easy, but I'd made it. I'd proven Richard wrong, but more importantly, I'd proven myself right. "Hey, Sarah," one of my colleagues called out. "We've got some interesting data from last night's dive. Want to take a look?" I grinned, turning away from the railing. "Absolutely," I replied. "Let's see what we've discovered." As I headed back inside, a sense of peace washed over me. This was where I belonged. This was the future Dad had always seen for me, the one I fought so hard to achieve. And it was beautiful. Settling into my new life as a marine biologist, I found myself thriving in ways I never imagined. My research on coral reef conservation gained international attention, leading to speaking engagements at conferences around the world. Mom visited often, proud of the woman I'd become. She found happiness too, rediscovering her passion for painting and even opening a small gallery in our hometown. Mia and I remained close despite the distance, and she became a successful journalist, often joking that she'd write my biography someday. Miss Thompson had retired from counseling but stayed in touch, always eager to hear about my latest adventures. The story has now concluded. What would you have done in Sarah's position when Richard called asking for help? Would you have forgiven him and offered assistance, or maintained your boundaries as Sarah did? Your experiences and perspectives matter, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us. Hey everyone, I'm Lucia, a 40-year-old marketing exec trying to figure out this wild ride called a blended family. I'm divorced and remarried to Tom, and we've got a bit of a Brady Bunch situation going on. My biological daughter, Emma, is 16, and my stepdaughter, Lily, is 17. Let me tell you, it's been a roller coaster trying to bond with Lily. "Hey Lily, want to go shopping this weekend?" I asked, trying to find some common ground. "No thanks, I'm good," she muttered, barely glancing up from her phone. Tom, ever the peacekeeper, just shrugged. "Maybe next time," he said, doing his usual conflict avoidance routine. I sighed, wishing he'd back me up just once, but that's Tom for you. Despite the cold shoulder, I made a promise to Lily. "I'll help you save up for that prom dress you've been eyeing," I told her. For a second, I thought I saw a flicker of interest in her eyes. "Really? You do that?" Lily asked, suspicion in her voice. "Of course. That's what family does," I replied, hoping this could be a turning point for us. Enter my best friend Rachel, my rock in all this chaos. We met for coffee at our favorite spot downtown. "Lucia, you're trying too hard," Rachel said, stirring her latte. "Lily will come around eventually." "I hope so, Rach." Sometimes I feel invisible in my own home, I admitted. Rachel squeezed my hand. Give it time, you're doing great. But then there's Karen, Tom's ex. Let's just say she isn't making things easier. One evening, I overheard a phone call between her and Lily. Remember, sweetie, you don't owe that woman anything. Karen's voice crackled through the speaker. I know, Mom, Lily replied, glancing at me as I passed by. Later that night, Lily confronted me in the kitchen. Mom says you're just trying to buy my love, she spat. That's not true, Lily, I said, feeling my heart sink. I just want us to be family. We're not family, she snapped. You're just the woman my dad married. To top it off, Lily's been hanging out with a new friend, Zoe. I overheard them in her room one day. Your stepmom's such a try-hard, Zoe sneered. You should totally milk this prom dress thing. Lily's laugh cut through me like a knife. Yeah, maybe I will. It's not like she actually cares about me anyway. That night, I couldn't sleep. Their words kept replaying in my mind. The next morning, I decided to check on the prom dress fund I'd been saving for Lily. As I counted the money, my stomach dropped. There was way less than there should be. Tom, I called, my voice shaking. We need to talk about Lily's prom dress fund. He wandered into the room, looking confused. What about it? There's money missing. A lot, I said. Are you sure? Maybe you miscounted, he suggested, his face pale. I'm sure, and I think I know where it went. Just then, Lily bounced into the room, all smiles. Hey Dad, can I borrow the car tonight? Zoe and I want to go to the mall. I looked at Tom, silently pleading for his support, but he just smiled weakly. Sure, sweetie, just be back by curfew. Something inside me snapped. This couldn't go on. Something had to change, and fast. Little did I know, the missing money was just the tip of the iceberg. Our family was about to face a storm we might not survive, and I was standing right in the eye of it. The next morning, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. I decided to confront Lily directly. Lily, can we talk? There's a lot of money missing from your prom dress fund. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. What are you talking about? I haven't touched it. Then where did it go? Over $300 is missing. How should I know? Maybe you took it, Lily snapped. Before I could respond, Emma burst into the room, waving a piece of paper. Mom, I passed my driver's test. That's great, honey, I said, trying to smile despite the tension. So about that car we talked about. Emma continued, unaware of the brewing storm. Lily's head whipped around. Car? What car? Emma hesitated. Mom said if I passed, we might look into getting a used car. Lily's face turned red. Oh, I see how it is. Steal my prom money for precious Emma's car, huh? What? No. I protested. Lily, that's not what's happening here. Save it, she spat. I should have known you'd always choose her over me. The argument escalated quickly. Tom, hearing the commotion, rushed in. What's going on? He asked, bewildered. Your wife stole my prom money to buy Emma a car, Lily shouted. I turned to Tom, desperate. That's not true. Tell her, Tom, tell her I wouldn't do that. Tom looked between us, his face a mask of discomfort. Now let's all calm down. I'm sure there's an explanation. Are you kidding me? I was stunned he wasn't defending me. Tom, you know I wouldn't steal from Lily. I'm not saying you did, but nothing. You're supposed to have my back. As we argued, Lily stormed out, phone in hand. I later found out she called Karen, who wasted no time in stirring up even more trouble. The next day at school, Lily's friend Zoe cornered Emma in the hallway. Must be nice having a mom who steals for you, she sneered. What are you talking about? Emma asked, confused. Everyone knows your mom stole Lily's prom money to buy you a car. It's all over school. By the time I picked Emma up, the rumors had spread like wildfire. Parents whispered at pickup, casting me sidelong glances. At home, I tried to talk to Tom about the situation. This is getting out of hand. We need to present a united front, I said. Tom sighed. Maybe if you just replace the money. Replace it? I didn't take it in the first place. I was stunned by his suggestion. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt completely alone. My stepdaughter hated me, my husband didn't trust me, and my reputation was crumbling. How had everything gone so wrong so quickly? My phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. Asterisk heard the rumors. You okay? Want to talk? Asterisk. I stared at the message, tears welling up. At least someone was on my side. But as I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. I couldn't just sit back and let these accusations destroy my life. It was time to do some digging. I started by scrolling through Lily's social media, and something caught my eye. Rachel, look at this, I said, showing her my phone. Lily had posted a selfie wearing a designer jacket that definitely wasn't in her closet before. Rachel squinted at the screen. That looks expensive. You think? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. We hit the mall, asking around at the stores Lily frequented. At a high-end boutique, a saleswoman remembered her. Oh yeah, that girl was in here last week. Dropped quite a bit of cash. Any chance you have security footage? I asked. The manager was hesitant, but eventually let us view it. And there it was, Lily, clear as day, buying the jacket with a wad of cash. Bingo, Rachel whispered. Back at home, I overheard Lily on the phone in her room. Zoe, chill. They'll never figure it out. My stepmom's taking all the heat. I felt my blood boil, but I forced myself to keep listening. Mom's totally on board, Lily continued. She hates Lucia anyway. It's perfect. So Karen was in on it too. I shouldn't have been surprised, but it still hurt. I dug deeper, tracking Lily's movements through credit card statements and eyewitness accounts. Designer clothes, parties, even a secret trip to a concert. It all added up. Just as I was putting the pieces together, Tom came home looking shell-shocked. The company's in trouble, he said, collapsing onto the couch. We might have to file for bankruptcy. Great, more stress. Tom, we need to talk about Lily, I started. He held up a hand. Not now, Lucia. I can't deal with that on top of everything else. I bit my tongue, frustrated. Fine, if he wouldn't listen, I handle this myself. I compiled all the evidence, receipts, footage, screenshots. It was time to confront Lily and clear my name once and for all. As I stood outside her door, evidence in hand, I took a deep breath. This was it, the moment of truth. I raised my hand to knock, steadying myself for the confrontation. Lily, we need to talk. Now. She opened the door, eyeing me suspiciously. What do you want? I walked in and spread the evidence on her bed. Receipts, photos, security footage. I know what you did, Lily, all of it. Her face paled, but she tried to bluff. I don't know what you're talking about. Cut the act. I have proof. You spent the prom money on clothes and parties, and you framed me. Lily's facade crumbled. You weren't supposed to find out. It's not fair. Emma gets everything. Tom walked in, drawn by the commotion. What's going on here? He asked, looking between us. I turned to him, my voice steady. Lily stole the money and framed me, and Karen helped her do it. Tom's face hardened as he looked over the evidence. Is this true, Lily? Lily burst into tears. Dad, I didn't mean for it to go this far. For the first time, Tom stood firm. I can't believe this. Lucia, I'm so sorry I doubted you. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was the school principal, Mrs. Thompson. I thought you should know, she said Zoe confessed to spreading false rumors about you. She's facing suspension. As word spread, Lily's social life imploded. Her friends began to distance themselves, and her reputation tanked overnight. The next day, Karen showed up at our door, fuming. What have you done to my daughter? She demanded. I stood my ground. No, Karen, what have you done? You helped Lily lie and steal. Tom stepped in, his voice firm. Karen, we need to reassess the custody arrangement. This can't continue. Karen sputtered, you can't do that. Watch us, Tom replied, shutting the door in her face. Amid the family chaos, Tom's business troubles worsened. Late one night, I found him slumped over financial papers in his office. Tom, I said softly, let me help. I have experience with marketing strategies that could turn things around. He looked up, his eyes red from lack of sleep. You do that, after everything. We spent nights brainstorming, growing closer as we fought to save the business. It was tough, but we were in it together. Emma stepped up too, surprising us all. Dad, Mom, she said one evening, I don't need a car. Let's use that money to help the business instead. Tom and I exchanged proud glances. Our daughter was growing up. Slowly, things began to improve. Tom's company started showing signs of recovery, and my reputation in the community was restored as the truth came out. 6 months later, we sat as a family, minus Lily, who was now living with Karen full-time. Tom glanced at his phone and said quietly, "I got an email from Lily. She's struggling. Karen's not coping well with the consequences." I sighed, feeling conflicted. It's hard, but she needs to learn from this. Emma nodded, her face serious. Maybe one day she'll realize what she lost. The doorbell rang. It was Rachel, bringing over dinner, as she'd started doing every Friday night. "Hey, warrior woman," she greeted me with a hug. "How's everyone doing?" As we all sat down to eat, the conversation flowed easily and laughter filled the room, something that had been missing for too long. I caught Tom's eye across the table, and he smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. In that moment, I realized that sometimes family is what you make it, and we'd made ours strong enough to weather any storm. Sure, there were still challenges ahead. Lily's journey wasn't over, and neither was ours. But for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. We'd face the worst and come out the other side, not unscathed, but unbroken. As Rachel raised her glass in a toast, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. "To family," she said. "To family," we echoed. I knew whatever came next, we'd face it together. Now I have a question for you. If you were Lucia, would you consider giving Lily a second chance? Or do you believe that some betrayals are too deep to forgive, even when it comes to family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could help others dealing with complex family dynamics. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Hi, I'm Sarah. Growing up, Grandma Ellie wasn't just a grandmother. She was a mentor, a confidant, and the heart of our family. Her home was the center of every gathering, from Thanksgiving dinners to summer barbecues. When she passed away last month, it felt like the core of our family had been torn apart. The morning of her funeral was heavy with mist, as if the sky itself mourned with us. Our large family, uncles, aunts, cousins, gathered at the old church, filling the air with whispered conversations and the occasional quiet sob. The scent of lilies, Grandma's favorite flower, hung in the air. I clutched the last letter she wrote me, her gold locket resting against my neck, a piece from the collection she left me in her will. Grandma had made her intentions clear. Most of her estate, including valuable jewelry and a significant sum of money, was to go to me. She believed in my dreams of starting a nonprofit for children's literacy, a passion we both shared. But as the eulogy began, I felt the weight of Aunt Linda's gaze. Aunt Linda, my father's younger sister, was known for her charm that often veered into manipulation. She could make you uneasy with just a look. After the service, as we made our way to the gravesite, she cornered me near the old oak tree that overlooked Grandma's resting place. "Sarah, darling," she began, her voice sickly sweet. "You know how hard things have been for my kids lately. Surely you don't need all of Grandma's gifts." Her words hung in the air, a thinly veiled demand disguised as concern. I tightened my grip on Grandma's letter, feeling the edges bite into my palms. "Aunt Linda," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Grandma knew what she was doing when she wrote her will. It's not just about the money or the jewelry, it's about her trust in me to carry on her legacy." "Oh, come now," Aunt Linda pressed, her eyes flicking to the nearby mourners to ensure no one overheard. "Be reasonable. My kids could use a little help, and it's not like you're struggling." Her audacity made my heart race. I knew better than to argue with her here, in the middle of the funeral. Drama was her fuel. "Aunt Linda, this isn't the time or place. We can talk later if we must," I replied sharply. She flashed a tight smile that never reached her eyes and patted my shoulder, a bit too forcefully. "Of course, darling. We'll talk later," she said before slipping back into the crowd. As I watched her walk away, the reality of what I was facing sank in. This wasn't just about an inheritance, it was about respecting Grandma Ellie's wishes, her values, her legacy. And I knew this was just the beginning. The battle lines had been drawn, not just over family assets, but over the principles Grandma had instilled in me. Later, Aunt Linda returned to the subject, her tone more insistent. "You know my kids have had it rough this year. College is expensive, and with the economy." "Aunt Linda," I interrupted. Grandma made her wishes clear. This isn't just about money. It's about continuing what she believed in. "But Sarah, think about the family. You were always her favorite. You got her time, her stories. My kids, your cousins, they need this. It's what she would have wanted. With all due respect, I said firmly, it's not about what you think Grandma would have wanted. It's about what she actually said and wrote down. This isn't a suggestion, it's her will. She huffed, her frustration palpable. It's so like you to cling to technicalities. You make plenty from your job, don't you? Why hold on to something that could change your cousins' lives? Aunt Linda, helping family doesn't mean disregarding Grandma's final decisions. I can't just ignore her will, legally or morally. Oh, come now, Sarah. Morals and legalities? This is family. We help each other. You could help, and you're choosing not to. That's on you. Aunt Linda, helping doesn't mean handing over everything Grandma left me. You're twisting her intentions, and we both know it. And what will you do with it all? Start some charity and throw money at problems? Is that better than helping your own blood? Yes, I answer firmly. If that's what Grandma wanted, then yes. It's about making a real difference the way she intended. Alienating your family is a real difference you aim for? She shot back. You're being selfish, Sarah. Well, that's not what Grandma stood for. I said, my patience wearing thin. Aunt Linda, this isn't about what you think is right. It's about respecting Grandma's wishes. She was very clear about what she wanted to happen with her estate. Aunt Linda's lips curled into a sneer. We'll see just how clear everyone else thinks she was when they hear about how you're hoarding her legacy. Family should come first, Sarah, not some lofty ideals or legal documents. I took a deep breath. If you want to discuss this further, we can involve the lawyers. I'm sure they'll clarify what clear means in terms of a legally binding will. Lawyers? Is that a threat? Aunt Linda's voice was sharp now, her tone biting. You're willing to tear this family apart over some jewels and cash. It's not a threat, Aunt Linda. It's about doing what's right, I replied, trying to stay calm. This isn't about tearing anyone apart. It's about following through with responsibility. And if that means involving lawyers to keep peace and respect Grandma's wishes, so be it. Her eyes narrowed. Well, Sarah, remember that actions have consequences. I hope you're ready for them. As do words, Aunt Linda. I'll do what needs to be done. I turned to walk away, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air, but my resolve to honor Grandma's wishes only solidified. The battle lines had been drawn, not in the shifting sands of family drama, but in the solid ground of Grandma's legacy. As I moved through the crowd, I heard a voice behind me. I heard everything, Sarah. I turned to see my cousin Mike standing there. I didn't mean for you to. No need to explain, Mike interrupted. Aunt Linda's been pulling this kind of stuff for years. You're just the latest. Got a minute to talk? Sure, I nodded. Several of us have had run-ins with her, Mike continued. Remember when Uncle Joe passed away and there was all that drama over his car collection? Turned out Aunt Linda promised her son his Mustang, even though it was meant to go to charity. I blinked, surprised. I had no idea it went that far. Mike nodded grimly. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You standing up to her. It's about time someone did. I just want to respect Grandma's wishes, I said. But Aunt Linda's making this personal, and it's splitting the family. You're not alone in this, Sarah, Mike reassured me. We can gather stories, put everything together, and show the family what's really been going on behind those sweet talks of hers. I hesitated, but then agreed. That sounds like a plan, but we need to be careful. We can't just throw accusations without proof. Agreed. I'll talk to a few people who've dealt with her before. We'll meet up later and compile everything. Thanks, Mike. This isn't just for me, it's for Grandma. Later that day, our cousin Jenna joined the conversation. I heard what Aunt Linda's trying to pull, and it's just not right, she said. She did something similar when Grandpa was in the hospital, trying to get him to change his will in her favor. It was disgusting. Wow, Jenna, I had no idea. Could you write that down? Any details you have would help. Absolutely. I'll send you everything tonight. We can't let her get away with this again. Thank you, I said, feeling a growing sense of determination. Here's the plan. We gather all the evidence we can, compile it into a clear presentation, and at the next family gathering, we lay it all out. Transparently, calmly, but firmly. We show everyone Aunt Linda's pattern of manipulation. Do we confront her in front of everyone? Mike asked. It has to be public, I answered. Otherwise, she'll twist it. But we keep it factual, no personal attacks. Just the truth, laid bare for everyone to see. If we're united in this, she'll have to face reality. It's going to be intense, Jenna said, but you're right, it's the only way. Thanks for standing with me, I said, relieved. This isn't just about the inheritance, it's about integrity and honoring Grandma's memory the right way. We're with you, Sarah, Mike replied. Let's get to work. As the meeting ended, I felt a mixture of apprehension and relief. Taking down Aunt Linda's facade wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. Armed with the truth and the support of my family, I was ready to defend Grandma's legacy, no matter what it took. A few weeks later, the family gathered again. I stood before them, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. Everyone, thank you for coming together tonight. There's something important we need to address as a family. Aunt Linda's voice cut through the room. What's this about, Sarah? It's about our family's future and honoring Grandma's true wishes, I said, keeping my voice steady. Over the past few weeks, you've questioned the terms of Grandma's will, suggesting it should benefit your children more. But that's not the whole story, is it? Aunt Linda stiffened. I'm not sure what you're implying, but I've always had this family's best interests at heart. That's not the truth, I said firmly. You've manipulated family situations for your own gain. Remember Uncle Joe's car collection, or when you tried to change Grandpa's will? We have evidence, Aunt Linda. Testimonies from family members, documents you tampered with. It's all here. This is ridiculous, Aunt Linda snapped. You're attacking me in front of everyone based on rumors. Not rumors, I replied, holding up papers. Facts. Here's an email from Janet about the hospital incident. And here's a statement from Mike about the car collection. It's not just one or two incidents, Aunt Linda. It's a pattern. She looked around, incredulous. You all believe this. My own family turning against me based on Sarah's word. So it's not just Sarah's word, Mike chimed in, stepping forward. I was there, Linda. I saw the documents you manipulated. Linda's eyes darted between us, her voice rising. Mike, why bring up old stories now? We should be looking out for each other, not dredging up the past. Looking out for each other is exactly why we're doing this, Linda, I replied. We can't ignore the truth. Linda crossed her arms, her tone defensive. I've always done everything for this family. You're just trying to make me the villain because I spoke up. No one's making you a villain, Linda, Mike said gently. You chose your actions. All we're doing is bringing them to light. She scoffed. So what now? You're going to kick me out of the family? We don't want that, I said firmly. But we do want accountability. You need to acknowledge what you've done and why it's wrong. Until then, it's best if you step back from family decisions. This is unbelievable, Linda muttered, shaking her head. I'm being ostracized by my own family. It's not ostracization, Linda, it's consequence, I explained. You're welcome back once there's genuine acknowledgement and change. Linda's face hardened. Fine. If that's how you all feel, I'll step back. But remember, families are supposed to forgive. Forgiveness comes with change, Linda. We hope to see that from you. As Linda stormed out, the room was left heavy with mixed emotions. Mike sighed and turned to me. Thank you, Sarah, for standing up like that. It couldn't have been easy. It wasn't, I admitted, feeling the weight lift. But it was necessary. Grandma deserved that much. Looking at the family, I continued. Going forward, I'll be using part of my inheritance to start a charity fund in Grandma's name. It'll support family members in real need, but with strict oversight to ensure it's used as she intended. That's a beautiful way to honor her, Jenna said softly. She would have been proud. As the evening wound down, I felt a deep sense of relief and closure. Standing up for Grandma's legacy wasn't just about confronting Aunt Linda. It was about preserving the values Grandma had instilled in us. Integrity, honesty, and respect for each other's wishes would be the true legacy I carry forward. Through the charity, Grandma's generosity would continue, not just in memory, but in action, helping others as she had always done. This was the real way to honor her spirit. Now that we've reached the end of the story, here's a question for you all. If you were in Sarah's position, how would you handle a family member who manipulates situations for their own benefit? Is public confrontation the best approach, or would you handle it differently? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed the story and subscribe for more.